Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something you might not expect. Um, the global liquid blush market. Our mission is to really pull out the key nuggets of knowledge from the sources we have. We're looking at this market's surprising growth and the regional trends shaping it. Think of this as your shortcut to being, you know, really clued in on a specific, maybe even a curious topic.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is how a seemingly niche product, right, liquid blush,
Yeah,
how it can actually tell us so much about, well, global consumer behavior and these bigger economic shifts.
exactly.
We're looking at some pretty robust market data today. It's mainly sourced from cognitive market research, which, gives us a really solid base for understanding what's going on beyond just the headline numbers.
And what numbers they are.
Yeah.
Seriously. Let's kick off with the big picture, the global view.
Mm.
This market isn't just like growing steadily. It's practically exploding feels like the right word.
Mm.
So back in 2021, the global liquid blush market generated over $1.4 billion. USD, that is.
Okay, wow.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's projected to jump to nearly $2 billion by 2025. And then it almost doubles again, hitting an astonishing $3.7 billion by 2033.
That's quite a leap.
Imagine that kind of growth year after year for just one type of product. What does this even mean for the beauty industry? Or maybe even, consumer confidence worldwide?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that kind of trajectory, that sustained climb, it's certainly impressive. The projected compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, for that period, 2025 to 2033, is a really robust 8.26%.
8.26%. Okay.
Yeah, and sustained growth like that, it suggests it's not just some passing trend,
Yeah.
It points towards maybe a more fundamental shift. Could be in consumer preference or maybe just wider adoption of this specific product type within the beauty sector overall. It really suggests strong, ongoing, and increasing global demand.
Okay, so that's the global scene, definitely booming. But where is all this blush? Well, blushing the most. Here's where it gets really insightful, I think, as we zoom in on different parts of the world. Let's start with North America.
Right. North America holds a pretty significant share of this market. In 2021, it was valued at over $500 million, $566 million roughly, and it's expected to more than double, hitting nearly $1.4 billion by 2033,
Wow.
which works out to a healthy compound annual growth rate just under 7.8%. 2.763% to be exact.
Okay. And within North America, obviously the U.S. is the
Yeah.
big player, right? Represents a huge chunk of that.
Definitely the largest single market, yeah.
But what I find really interesting is looking at the different growth rates across the region. Because while the U.S. is the biggest, it's not always growing the fastest. Is that right?
That's exactly it. So, for instance, you look at Canada, their growth rate, CAGR, is actually a bit higher than the U.S., about 8.25%.
Mm-hmm.
But Mexico really stands out within North America. It's projected to grow at an impressive 9.41% CAGR.
9.4%. So significantly higher than the U.S. or Canada.
Yeah, and that faster growth, it often points to things like maybe a burgeoning middle class, maybe increased connectivity, global beauty trends spreading faster through social media, and perhaps a growing younger demographic that's eager to experiment with new products like liquid blush.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, U.S. leads in volume, but Mexico perhaps hints at where the really dynamic growth is. Okay, let's move over to Europe. What's the story there? The market totaled almost $280 million in 2021, projected to reach nearly $700 million by 2033. And the CAGR is pretty similar to North America's, actually, around 7.7, 7.8%.
Yep, very similar overall growth profile. And within Europe, you see significant contributions from the big economies, the UK, Germany, France, Italy. They're all showing steady growth, mostly in that sort of 7.2% to 7.6% CAGR range.
Okay, solid growth in mature markets.
Exactly, which is a strong indicator that the product is really being adopted. It's not just fringe.
But the real eye-catchers in Europe, looking at the numbers, seem to be Spain, and maybe even more surprisingly, this rest of Europe category.
Ah, yes. Spain is projected to grow quite strongly. From about $23 million in 2021 up to over $66 million by 2033. That's a robust 9.23% CAGR.
9.2%. Okay.
But you're right, that rest of Europe category, it posted the highest CAGR in the entire region, a staggering 10.199%.
Over 10%. What's going on there?
Well, this raises an important question, doesn't it? What unique factors are driving such rapid growth in these, quite diverse European markets, especially that rest of Europe bucket.
Yeah.
I mean, this exceptional growth, it could be down to increasing demand in smaller markets, places that were perhaps previously underserved, maybe fueled by better e-commerce penetration or just a really rapid shift in beauty preferences spreading across a broader range of countries now.
So it signals really widespread adoption, getting beyond just those traditional major Western European players.
Precisely.
Okay, now, let's talk about a real powerhouse region, Asia Pacific, APAC. This region is clearly a major growth driver for the whole global market, projected to climb from over $400 million in 2021 toward well over $1.1 billion by 2033. That's with an impressive 9.157% CAGR overall.
Huge numbers, and China, as you'd expect, is a clear leader within APAC, showing a very strong 9.88% CAGR, on its way to becoming almost a $500 million market just for liquid blush on its own.
Nearly $500 million in China alone. Okay, but get this, India. The data shows exceptional growth there. It boasts the highest regional CAGR at an astounding 10.935%.
Wow, almost 11%.
Yeah, it's set to grow from just over $44 million in 2021 to over $153 million by 2033. And we also see, really solid contributions from Japan and South Korea, too. Strong growth rates there, nearing 9% for South Korea.
Right, and when you see markets like India and China leading the charge for that kind of significant growth, it really gives you key insights, I think, into the future of global beauty trends.
How so?
Well, it's not just about the makeup itself, right? It's a powerful signal of rising discretionary income in these massive consumer bases. It shows they're embracing global beauty standards, maybe adapting them locally too, and it highlights the incredible speed at which trends can just spread through digital platforms in these really populous nations. It feels like a bellwether, for wider shifts happening.
Absolutely, a window into bigger changes. Okay, moving on quickly. South America. Liquid blush market there generated almost $83 million in 2021, expected to reach over $222 million by 2033, growing at about 8.5% CAGR overall for the region.
Yeah, and Brazil contributes significantly to that, as you'd imagine. But Colombia really stands out in South America. It has a particularly high CAGR projected, over 10%, 10.189%.
Colombia over 10%, okay.
And Peru also shows pretty strong growth, over 9.5% CAGR. Again, these faster-growing countries within the region, it often points towards, increasing urbanization, maybe younger population embracing new beauty routines influenced by global trends.
Got it. Okay, last couple of regions here. Let's group the Middle East and Africa together. They both show strong growth, often starting from smaller bases, which, makes those percentage gains look even more impactful sometimes. So the Middle East market grew from nearly $56 million in 2021, projected over $155 million by 2033. That's an 8.9% CAGR.
Pretty strong.
And Saudi Arabia is a leader there, projected to grow at a really powerful 9.56% CAGR.
Right. And then Africa, the market there was valued at just over $41 million in 2021, expected to reach over $103 million by 2033. That's with a steady 7.33% CAGR.
Okay.
And Nigeria, within Africa, notably posted strong growth as well, around 7.8%. It signals, a developing appetite for these kinds of diverse cosmetic products across the continent, too.
Yeah, it really is fascinating, isn't it, to see how even these relatively smaller markets, region by region, are contributing significantly to the overall global trend. It just shows really broad adoption, it seems, of this specific product.
It does. It's quite widespread.
So, let's try and bring this all together.
Hmm.
What does this all mean for us, the curious learners tuning in? We've just peeled back the layers on one specific cosmetic product, liquid blush, and found a market that is, it's anything but static.
Definitely not static now.
It's incredibly dynamic, showing impressive, consistent growth across every single region we looked at. And we've highlighted some standout high-growth countries and regions. You mentioned India, Mexico, Spain, the rest of Europe category, Colombia, Saudi Arabia. The rapid adoption, it really feels like it signifies something bigger than just, blusher sales.
I think so, too. If we connect this back to that bigger picture idea, these numbers, they aren't just about liquid blush. They really reflect some powerful underlying forces, I think. Things like changing consumer preferences, definitely. Increasing disposable income, especially in emerging markets.
Yeah.
And just the sheer power of beauty trends now. How they can transcend geographical boundaries, influence what people buy globally. This kind of data, it suggests we maybe need to consider the broader implications for like global supply chains, for how companies do their marketing, needing to adapt to these really diverse growth areas, and maybe even bigger cultural shifts, around self-expression, consumer aspirations. It's a really compelling snapshot of global economic and social dynamics, all through the lens of a single product.
Wow, what an eye-opening deep dive that was. Thanks for joining us as we explored the surprising vibrancy of the global liquid blush market. It really goes to show, doesn't it, how even the most seemingly niche topics can reveal these broad and sometimes surprising global trends.
Absolutely. And perhaps this raises an important question for you, the listener, to consider. What other seemingly small or, niche product markets out there might be experiencing equally dramatic yet maybe unnoticed global growth? Growth that could also be signaling these significant shifts in consumer behavior that we're just not seeing yet.
Hmm. Great food for thought. Keep those eyes open, keep observing the world around you. And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really cut through all the noise, pull out the best bits, the crucial insights from a whole stack of sources just for you. Today, we're looking into a market that, well, it might seem super specific at first glance, but honestly, it's a fascinating little world that reflects much bigger shifts in, how we shop, what we value, even what we think is beautiful. We are talking about the global liquid blush market, our mission here. To really uncover what's making it take off, what challenges it's facing, maybe the subtle ones, and where it's actually headed. We want to give you that shortcut to being genuinely clued in on this part of the beauty world. And all these insights, they come from some great research by Cognitive Market Research.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I think, is that understanding this market, which seems niche, right? It goes so much deeper than just makeup trends. It really shows you a lot about how consumer values are changing, the huge impact of technology on how we buy things, and how whole industries are adapting, sometimes really fast, to big changes happening all around us.
Okay, so that's the what. Liquid blush is everywhere. Let's dig into the why now. The first thing that really jumps out from the research is just how popular it's become. It's exploded. It doesn't feel like just a quick trend. It seems like a real phenomenon. What's actually fueling this huge demand right now?
Well, it's definitely more than a trend. It's almost like a quiet pushback against that really heavy done-up look. This boom in liquid blush tells us that people, especially, Gen Z and millennials, they're really looking for something effortlessly authentic.
Effortless authenticity. I like that.
Yeah, they're kind of moving away from the heavy foundation, the intense contouring. They want a natural sort of dewy finish, something that enhances, not hides. And liquid blushes being so lightweight and blendable, they're just perfect for that.
Right.
Plus, you've got constant innovation from the beauty brands themselves. That's a huge accelerator. We're seeing companies launch these multifunctional liquid blushes, and often they're putting actual skincare ingredients in them.
Oh, really? Like what?
Things like hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, various botanical extracts. So it basically merges the cosmetic side with real skincare benefits. That feels like better value, better utility, in just one product.
That is fascinating. So it's moving from a finished look to an effortless one, huh? I hadn't quite framed it that way, but it clicks when you see how people style themselves now. And speaking of accelerators, you can't really talk beauty trends without mentioning the juggernaut that is social media. You said it's a powerful engine. Is it just making an existing trend bigger, or is it actually like creating this demand? Could this have happened without TikTok, for instance?
That's a really good question. I'd say it's probably both, but maybe leaning more towards creation these days. These platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they're not just marketing channels anymore. They're like real-time trend labs.
Trend labs, yeah.
Yeah, what we see with liquid blush isn't just ads. It's like this massive global experiment happening all at once. Millions of people are sort of co-creating and validating this trend through influencer tutorials, viral challenges.
Right, those challenges.
Exactly. It leads to super fast product discovery and trying things out. It's like a decentralized fashion cycle we haven't really seen before. You see someone you follow, easily blend this liquid blush for that perfect natural glow. And it creates this immediate, tangible desire, something traditional ads often, struggle to do quite as effectively.
Okay, but, every success story has its downsides, right? Its hidden challenges. As liquid blush is riding this huge wave, what are maybe the less obvious hurdles, the things holding it back a bit? Because no market grows without some friction.
Absolutely. Yeah, despite the fast growth, there are definitely restraints, and they're pretty practical ones. One key challenge is shelf life. Liquid blush just doesn't last as long on the shelf as powder blush.
Oh, okay.
It's more prone to oxidation. That's, when air gets to it and changes the formula. And also microbial contamination.
Bacteria and things, yes.
Exactly. Bacteria can grow more easily. And that's a bigger worry in, say, humid or tropical places where warmth and moisture just speed everything up.
Right, it makes sense.
Another thing is the texture. Those creamy, hydrating formulas. They might not be the best fit for everyone, particularly people with oily or acne-prone skin. So that naturally limits the appeal for some folks.
Okay.
And finally, there's the cost. Developing and packaging these liquid formulas so they're stable, long-wearing, and resist those issues, it's just more expensive.
Right.
And that usually means a higher price tag, which can definitely put off buyers who are more price sensitive. It's almost like a high-maintenance friend, isn't it?
Huh, that's a good way to put it.
Fantastic when it works, but yeah,
Yeah,
bit finicky.
that's a great analogy. Okay, so despite those hurdles, what does it all mean for the future then? Where is liquid blush headed? Let's shift back to the positive side. What are the key trends really shaping where this market is going?
Well, there are several really strong trends pushing it forward, and they tap into deeper changes in how consumers think. There's this huge and growing demand for clean, vegan, and cruelty-free formulas.
That seems to be everywhere in beauty now.
It really is. It means products without controversial stuff like parabens, phthalates, no animal ingredients, no animal testing. It reflects that bigger ethical, sustainable beauty movement across the whole industry. Inclusivity is another massive push. Brands are quickly expanding their shade ranges.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly. To cater to a much wider variety of skin tones,
Mm,
especially important in diverse places like North America and the UK. And it's not just about looking good. It's smart business, reaching people who were ignored before.
right.
And then there's the rise of hybrid or multifunctional products. These are becoming super popular. Liquid blushes that also work as, say, lip tints, or maybe even a subtle eyeshadow.
Oh, interesting. The multitaskers?
Precisely. They offer great convenience, and they fit right into that growing trend of minimalist beauty routines. People want fewer products that do more.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned challenges earlier, and we can't really ignore the elephant in the room for the last few years, the pandemic. How did COVID-19 actually hit the liquid blush market, and what did that whole period tell us about maybe its resilience?
Yeah, the pandemic definitely caused some initial disruption, no question.
Hmm.
You have reduced consumer spending overall, production got complicated, sales took a hit at first.
Sure.
But the story here is really one of impressive adaptability, actually. As lockdowns started to ease and people adjusted to, new routines, new ways of working, there was a noticeable bounce back. That trend towards natural, minimalist makeup, liquid blush fits perfectly.
Right, the Zoom effect maybe? Less is more?
Possibly, yeah. And coupled with the continued, even accelerated growth of online shopping, those things were key in revitalizing the market. So overall, the liquid blush market showed itself to be pretty adaptable, pretty resilient. It's not just recovering, it seems poised for more expansion.
Yeah.
Driven by that innovation, inclusivity, and all that digital engagement, it seems like even a global crisis couldn't stop a product whose time had really come.
And with that, our look into the global liquid blush market comes to a close. It really proves again how a product that seems quite niche can actually open up this window onto huge shifts in consumer behavior and industry trends. It's pretty amazing how much you can unpack from just, well, a little tube of color.
Absolutely. I think the core takeaways are pretty clear. This market is this dynamic mix of consumer demand for natural looks, constant product innovation, especially emerging beauty and skincare.
Mm-hmm.
The undeniable power of social media, not just for marketing, but for actually setting trends, and the industry's really impressive resilience, how it adapted even through something like a pandemic.
So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe mull over as you go about your day. Consider how these little micro trends in beauty, like the surprising rise of liquid blush, how they might reflect much bigger macro shifts in what we value. From wanting transparency in ingredients to maybe seeking more genuine authenticity or just needing more convenience in our increasingly busy lives. What other seemingly small shifts out there might be signaling bigger changes all around us?